everything is impossible until it's not. I don't know if anyone of you guys are young enough to remember this, but the idea of someone running a 4-minute mile or a sub 4-minute mile was impossible until it wasn't. And what the Knicks showed you is that nothing is impossible without the ability to go forward. So many people that I think this championship is just gets everything off their back. First off, this guy just not going to get talked about anymore, or he's not going to get talked about in this way anymore. But shout out to Mikal Bridges. I think pretty much after the series against like Atlanta, like I wouldn't say Mikal had any big moments per se in this series or in this playoff run, but he was just steady. And I think the whole reason why people, if you believed in that trade, was because you already had your superstar in Jalen Brunson. Having your picks wasn't going to get you anything great because you had a guy who, if healthy, you're going to win 50 games every year. So you're always going to have to pay a premium to have another impact guy come on your team, and count the fact that it's also coming from your crosstown rival in the Brooklyn Nets. And Mikal Bridges went through a lot of shit. I mean, a lot of shit. I never got on Mikal as much as others did, just because I didn't really understood why he wasn't brought in to be a star. No one said he was brought in to be a star. But unfortunately, things aren't explained anymore in a way where people can comprehend. They are explained in a way for people to be outraged. And having Mikal Bridges be someone who was the final piece, the glue to what this championship team was, masterful. So we never have to hear anymore about these 5 first-round picks and potentially trying to go and get another superstar. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think, has had such a remarkable career in the sense that he was the unanimous number 1 pick. He was the best player in college basketball the year that he played. He has made All-NBA. He has been an All-Star. He has won 3-point competition. He has been to the Western Conference Finals, all prior to coming to New York. And this guy, a guy who grew up in the area, who's had tragedy affect his life. And I think what I have seen the most from Cat is something that I think doesn't get appreciated by the people that talk about this, or just, I guess, maybe fans in general, is that these are really, 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 really young people. Like there's a lot of pressure on guys who are, 22, 23, 24. And we almost make these like firm decisions on these guys prior to their ability to do it. I think, honestly, for me, one of the great comps that I have, and I never really thought about it in this way because both guys they didn't come into the league with the same type of pedigree, but I feel like this is Pau Gasol happening for Cat, a guy who played for by and large part a losing organization. Pau Gasol used to play for the Memphis Grizzlies. Very high draft pick. I believe Pau was the second pick in the draft. High draft pick from the Grizzlies, gets traded to the Lakers for a song. I mean, he basically got traded for nothing and was ripped all the time. How he was soft, how he was, not a physical player. The infamous play of Kobe Bryant in the Olympics running straight through his chest after that team went to the finals that same season. And you look back at his career and like, oh yeah, Pau Gasol, Hall of Famer, 2-time NBA champion. And I don't think anyone looks back at Pau as being soft, right? They look at him as being an outstanding basketball player. And I think this is how Cat is going to be remembered. I don't know if the Knicks are going to win another championship, but he has now firmly planted himself as being one of New York City's icons. A guy who came in here with a lot of expectations, and you have had the greatest run of Knicks basketball since the 70s. And I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for his family. I'm happy for everyone involved around Karl-Anthony Towns. But here's a guy who believed in himself and didn't allow the negative noise to affect who he was. Leon Rose, a guy who took a job with probably a guy who I think most people consider to be the worst owner in sports, let alone basketball, and had immense pressure on him to win, and couldn't really do it any other way besides keep keep retooling, keep getting better. There's so many ways that you can improve a basketball team. And a lot of times, a lot of GMs basically convince their fans that we need to lose a lot, right? We need to lose a lot, and then we need to essentially acquire, high draft picks, and then that is how we will develop and move on. And obviously, we have seen teams win championships this way. You look at Oklahoma City, they obviously were able to do it the same way. And typically, teams would like to develop that way because it frankly saves a lot of people a lot of money. But ultimately, I think what this Knicks championship did, and I think what Leon Rose showed you, is that there are multiple ways to win championships. And the idea that you need to lose constantly is false. Now, I don't think anyone believes that you should go out there and sign a bunch of, older veterans to large contracts and then expect to just snap your fingers and win a championship. No one's really saying that. But the idea of being patient doesn't also mean that you are going to just lose 60 games year after year after year. So a lot of GMs now have to do a lot of work because Leon Rose, who has never gotten any love for being executive of the year, I don't think he's even gotten any votes for that award, is going to go down as now a Hall of Famer. You win one championship with this organization, you are making the Hall of Fame, and has now solidified himself as a New York icon, a New York legend, and a guy who I think has said maybe 70 words in total in his tenure as Knicks president of organization. Knicks president, rather. But the guy who's got to get all the flowers, all the love, the guy who has saved this franchise is one Jalen Brunson. I don't remember if I was potting back when Brunson was signed to the Knicks. I was doing something. I was hopefully making some type of money. This is back in 2022. And I vividly remember, I told my friends, I have text messages for people if you don't want to believe me. I thought he would be a good player, right? I liked the way he played. I liked the series that he had against Utah when Donovan Mitchell was out, when he was going against Donovan Mitchell, when Luka Doncic was out. And his ability to get to his spots, get his points, and I always highly rate players who were able to do things in the postseason. But I thought we were getting like the, super max version of like a Fred VanFleet, right? A guy who is going to be maybe in all-star conversations. Maybe if things break right, we'll make an all-star team. But ultimately was going to be, at best, the second best player on the team if every other guy was like, really, really good, kind of like the Raptors build of a couple seasons ago that when they won the championship. And the two games that changed my mind on who this guy was on his first year when they were actually down and losing in a playoff series. It was against the Miami Heat. They were down 3-1. They had just gotten beat pillar to post in Miami, and the series was essentially over. And the next two games, Jalen Brunson comes out and basically plays every single minute of those two games outside of three. And the Knicks in that 3-minute stretch when he was playing in Miami lost by, I believe, 9 points in that stretch, and they end up losing the game. It's not the fact that he had back-to-back well over 30-point games. One game he had 39, next game I believe he had 41. It wasn't the fact that he did that. It wasn't the fact that in Game 6, the New York Knicks as a team made 20 shots. Jalen Brunson himself made 10 shots. It was the fact that he basically said, I'm going to do whatever I can to win this game. And that, to me, is the separator of stars and superstars. It is what shows you that I am willing to do whatever it takes to win this game right here, right now. It's why you can come back from 29 points down in the third quarter and win a basketball game in the finals, because Jalen Brunson basically sat for, I believe, like 2 possessions. I believe he damn near played the entire game. It's the reason why he's a guy who says, I'm going to take less money and stay with this organization. I still do believe, and listen, this is not no diss to Jalen Brunson. I don't think he took less money. I think he put the money off. I do not think that is a man who is, while I do not think he is full of greed, I also do not think he wants to be poor as well. And I've said this before on this pod. We are living in extremely crazy times when a man who has already banked well over $250 million from the Knicks itself is getting criticized for taking less money. Either way, a guy who's able to do that, a guy who's willing to have guys come on his team, a guy who's willing to have his coach who acted like a father figure to him in Tom Thibodeau be let go and still show the resolve and show the ability to lead this franchise to where it is. Because let's be clear, this was the worst organization in sports before Jalen Brunson came here. Not a question. Not a question. They were one of the worst organizations to play for. The rot was in the walls all around us. No one wants to come here. No one wants to come and represent this team because time and time again, they always felt like they were losers. And that's what it was. Just losers. And so Brunson is a guy who saw an opportunity and said, I'm here and I'm going to make this better. And him and the guys around him were able to do that. And the last two shout outs we have, one is for a coach who many people do not like or didn't like at any point, but I believe firmly got this team here, is Tom Thibodeau. If you're a New York sports fan, the Tom Thibodeau era is going to be one that's very interesting to you. I think the comparison to Buck Showalter is going to be very apt if you are a Yankees fan, as a guy who got a team to the promised land but couldn't fully get them over the hump, and then another coach or manager rather was able to finish off the job. But this team is not here without Tom. And I don't know how Tom feels. Tom's also a psychopath, so I wouldn't be surprised if he is literally in some gym somewhere running ice pick and rolls. But he is someone who I will forever be indebted to because, like Jalen Brunson, came here when it was dog shit. And I mean dog shit. And helped resurrect the team, helped put them in a great position, established good habits with them, and allowed them to get on the precipice of becoming champions. And sometimes not everyone comes along for the ride. Not everyone's going to be there to see you finally make it when you make it. But best believe this guy is as connected to this team and this organization and this championship as anyone who's ever a part of it who was not on the final team to win them a ring. And the last people that need to get the love are you all, Knicks fans. As Landry Shamet did say very appropriately, there needs to be some type of test done on the what makes a New York Knicks fan, because not all Knicks fans live in New York. Not all Knicks fans are from New York. And yet there is just something about rooting for the Knicks. Not in the last week, not this season. I'm talking about when you got into it, there was either a player, a play, a coach, the arena, the vibe, something got you hooked onto it. And the guys and gals who stayed through all the nonsense, all the your coach is liking porn tweets. That really happened. The coach is having a former player drive to his house to essentially assault him. That also happened as well. The GM allegedly was falling asleep in workouts for the prospects that they want to draft. Just years and years and years and years. This could honestly be some summer content of just what was the worst sports or worst Knicks moment of your life. And I think understanding that it's all worth it now. I cannot commend Knicks fans or people who rooted for this team anymore. This is one of the most special moments, not just in New York history, but in the history of the planet. because that's the beauty and the thing that makes Knicks fans so special. And the beauty of basketball is it is not just, located in New York. It is not just located in the tri-state area. It's not just located in the Northern Hemisphere. Everywhere you go on this planet, you will find a Knicks jersey. And there are very, 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 very few business franchises that you can say that about. And the fact that they can finally look upon this season as that season is something that, no one will forget where they were when this moment happened. Lastly, I'm going to quote or rephrase something that the mayor of New York City, Sohran Mamdani, said earlier at some interview he did, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing from him because he also stole it from someone else, but that moments like this where you see cities and large communities come together, they're birthed from tragedy. Something awful happened. But in this instance, everyone's coming together in such a joyous moment that it really was able to make New York City specifically the smallest town in the world, because everyone felt like they knew everyone for one single night. That's all the time that we got for today. Please like, subscribe, review, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you not do these things, I have to assume that you think Wembanyama would not have been suspended for Game 6 if there was a Game 6. But we will never know. Thank you guys again for listening. This is the Men Who Cry podcast. Peace, everyone.